As dawn was approaching, Jeff made his way to a sleepy little house in the richer part of town. The neighbours were still sleeping, and those who were getting ready to go to work at this time of the morning barely noticed Jeff, nor did they pay any attention to him. They just thought he was a regular visitor or a random neighbour. Jeff hopped the fence of the house he'd been laying his eyes on and made his way into the basement from outside. Now, in this neighbourhood you could expect a very low crime rate, and everyone who lived in this neighbourhood were honest and trusted people. But from Jeff's point of view, this was the perfect chance to score fresh meat. Because he was so tired from walking and felt a hangover coming on, he decided the best way to get some rest was to sleep in the basement and wait until nightfall. At around 6:15 p.m, Jeff heard the noise through one of the air vents. There was a conversation going on. This piqued Jeff's interest. He put his ear close to the vent and listened in. From what he could hear, the owners of the house, a young couple, were looking for a babysitter at the last moment to watch their 4-month-old daughter. They were able to get a babysitter at that moment, and the young lady was glad to watch the child. About half an hour later, the babysitter arrived. She was a sweet little girl, only about 14, and the couple knew her from friends of theirs at the church that they went to regularly. She was cheerful, friendly, and kind. At around 1:10 in the morning, the girl was tired and fell asleep. The baby daughter was sleeping like a rock. She'd had a bath, a fresh diaper change, and had changed into her night gear. The infant's head hit the pillow immediately thereafter. Several minutes later, the babysitter receives a call on the house phone. Wearily and tired, she answers.
Hey, when are you guys coming home?
We'll be back around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I hope our daughter wasn't too much trouble,
the young mother said.
No trouble at all. You never told me she was such an angel,
the babysitter replied, yawning.
Honey, you sound tired. Why don't you take a nap?
That's a good idea. I could really use one about now.
If you need us, we'll be at the Egno Lodge. You have our number.
Thanks.
Have a good night's rest, sweetheart.
Night.
Several hours into her peaceful slumber, the babysitter is awoken by a noise in the basement. Thinking it was just an animal, or possibly the couple's dog, she just falls back asleep. But the noise becomes louder as Jeff makes his presence known. The babysitter gets more irritated and closes the baby door, trying not to wake her up, and shouts down below,
Hey, I'm trying to sleep!
The silence remains for over 5 minutes, and the young lady goes back to bed on the couch. The noise resumes, and now the babysitter gets scared. She picks up the house phone and dials 911.
911 emergency,
a voice said down the phone.
Someone is in the house,
the babysitter replied, her voice shaking with terror.
Ma'am, you're gonna have to calm down. I can't understand you,
the dispatcher said.
Someone is in the house. Someone broke in,
the babysitter said, her voice at an audible whisper, just enough for the dispatcher to hear.
Where are you at, sweetheart?
I'm at 322 Wilshire Boulevard. I'm babysitting tonight.
You're sending police up there immediately. Now here's what I need you to do. You listening?
The babysitter said, tears silently falling down her face.
Go and find a safe place in the house, like a closet or a pantry. Grab yourself something to protect and defend yourself with.
The dispatcher spoke. The babysitter, trembling in fear, grabbed hold of a big butcher's cleaver the couple kept in their kitchen as part of their cutlery.
I've got a meat cleaver. I'm so scared.
The babysitter cried softly.
Don't be scared, dear. Stay with you on the line until police arrive. Meantime, you just hide. Who's all there with you?
The baby.
The babysitter wept, the tears burning her eyes.
Did you lock the baby's room, honey?
The dispatcher asked. He could sense the fear and suffering in the babysitter's voice, as he was being the only source of comfort the girl needed as far as Jeff breaking into the place was concerned. This would probably be the last thing the poor babysitter would hear.
Yes.
The TV that was running in the background was shut off, and Jeff made his way upstairs.
The baby will be alright. You just stay on the line with me. Police will be arriving shortly.
Oh, God. I see him.
Give me the description of the assailant, dear.
I can't talk any louder. He'll hear me. I hope he doesn't hurt the baby.
What is the description of the assailant?
He's wearing black pants, white hoodie. He's a
babysitter trembled, her voice quivering. Jeff picked the lock of the sleeping baby's room and walked in. The only thing he did was pick up a plush toy of Piglet and laid it next to the sleeping infant and walked off. It wasn't in Jeff's nature to kill a child, let alone a 4-month-old baby. Back at the Econo Lodge, the young mother had gotten worried about the babysitter and told the husband they'd better go home. It was about 4:15 a.m. when they left, and they were rushing home as quick as they could. Jeff saw an approaching police light beacon and thought that it was all over. He hid in the dark and waited for the police officer to make his move. The babysitter thought she was in the clear until Jeff snapped the neck of the police officer and dragged him off to a utility room of the house. The baby in the crib started to cry loudly. The poor infant was scared to death. The parents rushed in to see what was going on and found the babysitter to have left, despite the fact she was hiding from Jeff the killer. Jeff took the billy club from the dead officer and jammed it down into the young mouse's wife until it came out the other side of her skull. When the husband saw what had happened, screaming over her death, Jeff took a large metal sculpture from the shelf and fractured the husband's skull. Though the babysitter was terrified and frightened beyond recognition, she stayed hidden in the closet until more police arrived. A teen paperboy who had been out since 4 this morning came across the young couple's house, which now had a couple of police cars outside. The kid was a friend of the couple's and knew them very well. As soon as he rushed in, he vomited at the sight of the dead couple. Jeff was nowhere to be found. One officer opened the door to the closet and found the young girl pale as a ghost, eyes red from crying. She was babbling about Jeff and still remembered his description. A police sketch artist was there as well. Meanwhile, the paperboy was in the baby's room, comforting the child, trying to get her to stop crying, and he did with much success. As the police officer came into the baby's room, he said to the paperboy calmly,
"We can handle it from here, son. You just be on your way."
Okay.
The paperboy replied, laying the child back down.
I'll be right out.
Before he left, he pulled from his pocket a rumpled up paper bag that he would get at curb markets, as if he were going to buy a few 40-ounce malt liquors. Walked out, got onto his bike, and went home. While on his bike, the boy's voice went from male to female and spoke ominously.
I'm coming for you, Jeff. Don't go to sleep.
Back at the house the babysitter was at, the babysitter, who was locked in the closet during the time, claimed that she could smell the lingering odour of cheap woman's perfume and found body glitter on the baby's crib. It was the night before the big tests at this local college dorm, and the students are praying for big score results. Some have chosen to stay up and work, while others partied hard, but one girl was dead asleep, from having studied since 8 o'clock this morning, and she was less than happy that it wasn't Friday yet. On her desk were scattered energy drinks, 5-hour energy shot bottles, Coca-Cola cans, and empty coffee cups. She thought being wired on caffeine and energy would get her through the entire day and help cram for the test, which it did, until she crashed and fell asleep a little after 10 this evening. Her roommates in the room across from her had been making lots of noise because they were too busy being, well, college students and screwing all day, which really distracted her. But they'd stopped fooling around, and Jeff slipped some cyanide pills into their beers, killing them both. In the sleeping girl's room, there was another figure that Jeff failed to notice. It was his brother Lou.
Hey, Jeff.
Lou announced. The girl didn't wake up because she was pretty tired. Jeff turned around, and before he could say anything, Lou took a trophy off the girl's shelf and beamed him in the skull, knocking him out, saying the words,
You go to sleep.
Jeff's world went black. Jeff woke up in a room full of industrial tools and assorted carpenter goodies. It was a class for anyone who wanted to go into carpentry.
Where the hell am I?
Jeff asked very woozily, coming to.
I've been waiting a long time for this, Jeff.
Lou responded, but it wasn't his male voice. It was in a female voice. Jeff saw Lou pull off his shirt, and then his face, and then pull out his jade eyes, and removed his Aryan blonde head, and revealed his true identity.
You're the bitch from the bar.
Jeff screamed angrily. Jane turned on a utility light and shined it upon herself. Other than the fact she had no skin colour due to the only coming out at night and never during the day, she had blackout eye contact lenses. Her long black hair glimmered and shined in the light, and she had the body of a goddess. She was beautiful, a real knockout. but her black eye contacts made it look like she had no eyes. She was Jeff's counterpart, only more beautiful, and she still had her eyelids intact.
I told you I'd be coming for you in the end. Oh, and did I mention? Your brother fit me like a glove. So did your mother, your father, and the paperboy. I wouldn't dare make a lampshade out of your ugly, greasy, scrawny ass anyhow.
Jane replied, chuckling evilly at Jeff.
Why the hell did you do this?
Why? Why? I'll tell you why, you little piece of shit. You kept saying to everyone you kill, go to sleep. And now it's coming back to haunt you with a vengeance. So now, it's time for you to go to sleep. Forever.
Jeff made a beeline at Jane with a large claw hammer that he picked up and knocked Jane down. Jane grabbed a hold of Jeff's hand, and with as much strength as she had, she slammed the end of the hammer into his chin, causing him to spit blood, jammed the sharp end of the claw hammer into his shoulder. Jeff staggered and pulled the hammer out of his shoulder, which caused him to bleed, but it didn't faze him. After landing a few blows to Jane, Jeff grabbed a hold of her and dragged her over to a vice, sticking one of her doll-like hands into it and twisting slowly. Much to her boredom and displeasure, Jane looked up at him as if to say, "You're kidding, right?"
Please, is this the best you can do?
Jane asked, not impressed by the crushing that was administered to her. She jerked her hand out of the vice, ripping it out of the screws, and pummelled Jeff with it, leaving a large metallic thud on the concrete floor. Jane looked at her hand and managed to move her fingers, which appeared unaffected in place. Other than the fact that she had marks on the mouth of the vice, it didn't slow her down. She and Jeff continued to fight until they came across a carpenter's workbench. Jane took Jeff's head and whacked it repeatedly against the surface, then activated an industrial power drill which was used for wood and steel projects, and made the drill bit come down slowly on Jeff's neck. He, along with Jane, suffered injuries, fatal enough to kill a normal person. Jeff managed to pull the drill out of his neck and slowly leaned towards Jane.
I'm going to rip your fucking heart out and ram it down your throat.
Jane looked at him, laughing, taunting, and jeering at him. During the fight, Jane pulled out a concrete saw blade that Jeff impaled in her side during the fight. As she pulled the saw out, the wound completely healed and disappeared.
Come get some.
What the hell was Jane? She picked up a buzzsaw which was plugged in, and just as soon as Jeff was about to finish Jane off, Jane turned on the buzzsaw and jammed it right into Jeff's guts, cutting him up on the inside. From Jeff's point of view, he still saw and heard everything that was going on. Jane now took Jeff, who was on the very verge of death, and rammed his guts down his throat. She force-fed him his own entrails and organs, just to add insult to injury. After choking on his own self, Jeff appeared to suffocate and die. He went to sleep. Forever. Which brings us back to the cold, hard slab at the morgue, having an autopsy performed on him. One of the coroners looked closely as to what was obstructing Jeff's airwaves.
I see something. It looks like a piece of raw meat, probably from an animal or something,
he said. The coroner's partner, a woman, was horrified at what she found as she watched him pull out what was clogging Jeff's throat and what was found in his stomach.
What the hell is that?
She said, about to puke. But she held her own vomit back with much success.
It looks like
The male coroner said.
Entrails. Oh, his own.
The cause of death on Jeff's autopsy report was listed plainly, according to what the county medical examiners found, self-inflicted evisceration, when in truth, it was Jane who did him in. As soon as the coroners left the room to discuss with the other members of the county medical examiners about the grisly autopsy, Jeff, under the pale white light that illuminates his pale, chalky white body, opens his eyes, as if to say, "This is far from over."